Thank you for challenging me on my comment, Cartel in Ajijic.
Jerry Brown here with Jerry Brown Travels.
Laura here.
Well, this video is going to be about comments. I'm going to answer your comments, which you wanted to know. You've asked a lot of interesting questions, and so I thought it'd be important to get back with you here. Well, one of the comments that we had, actually about 6 of them, were asking me, where is Lori? We want to see more of Lori. So I thought I'd bring Lori into the picture here.
And Lori here. Well, this is not much thing for me to know about that. So that's not much important to me to be in the video. So I will go do something I want to do. I like to sew, so I go to my sewing room. Okay, good to see you, and thank you for wanting to see me. That's Lori here.
Thanks, Lori. So go to your sewing, and I know you use it as a way of meditation. So, okay. Well, I'll get another video out to you real soon, and we'll bring Lori in that video. In fact, you know what it's going to be about? We're going to talk about our budget and what we cost us to live here in Mexico. We haven't done one in a while, so I think you'll find that to be interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my phone here, and I've highlighted some of the questions. So I'm going to play them back to you. So the first comment I would like to start out with here is, I thought this was a very, very interesting question. Somebody challenged me and said, you know, Jerry, here, listen to this here, and we'll see what he has to say about it.
After all his pro-Mexico videos, it's taken him 7 years to mention the Ajijic takeover night cartels. 7 years after that kind of crime is not far enough back to say, but that's not today.
Okay, so this is an excellent comment that somebody said. They challenged me on it. They says, well, Jerry, you're talking about this video today, and that actually happened, you know, in 2012. Why haven't you talked about it before? Why haven't you discussed this? There's been a lot of problems in Mexico, and you didn't seem to discuss this. Now, why is that? Well, I want to apologize to you in one respect, but I do also want to explain the reason why I didn't talk about it in any other videos. The first reason is that Lori and I love Mexico so much, and we don't like spreading bad news, especially when it may not apply to most people. It was a situation, we were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and so I didn't think it would serve my viewers, you know, an advantage to them to give them negative press. There's so much negative press going on about Mexico. I refrained from doing that. So if I have done you a misjustice or didn't provide enough information, I want to apologize. But I thought that was an interesting challenge to me to say, how come? And so that's the answer. Right or wrong, that was the reason that I didn't post it until recently, because after those killings up north, then I felt it very important to maybe broadcast it, because people now are coming down here much more, and they come down thinking that it's paradise and stuff like that. Not always so. So you have your challenges living in another country. Also, other people are coming down and they are wanting to invest. A couple of guys came down. They're talking about buying 4 units for an Airbnb. And I remembered this, you know, story, and I told them in 2012 what happened, and that I didn't recommend that they put all their money in an investment here, and maybe they ought to tread a little lighter in thinking about, because it was all their life savings. That wouldn't work out if there was a problem here. So, okay, let's go on to the next question here.
Wow, I would like more about the driving in Mexico. What if you are just in Mexico on vacation and have problems in a vehicle? Can you trust the attorneys in Mexico? We have always rented a car and never feared driving around. Thank you.
Okay, excellent question. Driving in Mexico. Yes, you get the proper insurance. In other words, when you're in a car, you get their insurance and you get full coverage on the car if you did get in an accident, because they have the higher standard of insurance, and they're really going to take care of you. So if you got in an accident, they will send an adjuster out to the accident. They will look at it. They'll work with the policemen and the authorities to take care of everything for you. So you don't have to worry about that. A lot of the worries comes down if people don't get insurance and they get in an accident. So be careful, drive safe, and enjoy your time here in Mexico. Let's go to another question.
Is a visa in Baja needed to validate my Mexican car insurance?
Okay, driving in Baja, actually, you don't need a temporary or a permanent visa. You will need to get the 180-day visa that you can get right at the border there. And if you have your Mexican insurance that you have gotten from a Mexican insurance company, no problems. Now, if you are planning on using your US or Canadian or whatever insurance, you'll need to check with your provider and find out if you can be covered under that policy. I understand some policies will be good up to 50 miles into Mexico, but don't take my word for it. Check with your insurance agent. Okay, let's go to another question here.
Thanks for the info, Jerry.
Okay.
I'd really like to visit Mexico and see for Mistles, but I've never been and I'm a single older woman. Would love to know how others in my situation have done this safely.
Excellent question. So she's asking, as an older single woman, is it safe for her to drive in Mexico? And she'd like to see places she hasn't seen before. Yes, it is safe to travel in Mexico as a single woman. Again, you use precaution like you would any place else in the world. You don't walk on dark streets. You don't stay out late at night. You're at home at a reasonable hour. The bus system here is very safe. They have over-the-road bus systems that would be much better than something like a Greyhound or anything like that you get in the United States. Their bus system here is very sophisticated. So, and the taxis are safe here. Also, another question somebody asked about taxis and Ubers. No problem with them. Also safe. Haven't heard any bad, information about any of those. So you can use both of those along with the bus system to make it safe for you. Let's go to another question.
Thanks for sharing your experience, Jerry. It's valuable for us to hear all sides of the story, both good and bad, so we can make better informed decisions. I don't know if you could make a whole video on this, but I'd be interested to hear what you know about car accidents in Mexico, what the process is like, why you go to jail, whether it's just the driver or everyone in the car, how Mexican car insurance will protect you, etc.
Okay, I actually did discuss those in my last video, which is titled, and so you can watch that video or watch it again. And I think I clarified a lot of the questions in there. But yes, most generally on a regular accident, you have Mexican insurance. An adjuster will come out on the accident site, will analyze the situation, will discuss the matter with the police department, and take all the information. They'll pay for any damages that you have gotten on your car or their car. And so most generally, everything is safe down here, and they will take care of it. Now, again, if you got in a serious accident where there was blood, then they are going to take both parties to the jail till they can work it out. They want to make sure that who's at cause of the accident is actually prosecuted or handled in a proper manner. So yes, in that particular case, you will go to an attorney, or the insurance company will provide an attorney for you, and they'll take care of it for you. So don't worry about that so much, because what's the odds of you getting in an accident with blood? I've never had an accident with blood, and I've been driving a lot of years. Let's look at another one here.
Thanks for sharing, Jerry. My husband and I have plans to visit Ajijic.
Okay.
It would be our first time. Should we rent a car, or is it easy to get a driver, Uber or taxi? That whole jail thing, if there is any blood, I must admit, makes me nervous to drive.
Yeah, it does sound scary, but don't worry about it, because most generally you're not going to get in an accident, with blood. But what I recommend, if you're planning on just visiting the Lake Chapala area, you probably don't need a car. But at the airport, you can get a taxi from the airport down here. It's about a 40-minute drive away. It's going to cost you about under $45 to take a taxi one way. I'm not too familiar about Ubers because I don't take them, but we've used a taxi before. I haven't heard any bad news about using Uber here. In fact, I've heard a lot of good comments about it. They're more located in Guadalajara than they are down here. Down here, a lot of people will take the taxis or the local bus system. If you want to go visit some of the towns outside of this area here, there are some tour companies that'll take you on day trips, and you can explore the area around here. So it's safe, and what we would suggest is take the taxi and use the bus system down here. I think you'll enjoy that. Okay, one more.
That's why it's important to carry Mexican car insurance. I'm not 100% clear on this, but to my understanding, if you injure someone while driving, you go to jail until you can pay for their medical expenses. If you have sufficient insurance, you're in the clear because your insurance pays for their medical expenses.
Yeah, that's correct. You have Mexican insurance, you're all covered, you have full coverage on the vehicle, and then if you did get in an accident, they are going to take care of you. So as I said in the last comment, the proper insurance, you'll get the proper guidance and direction from the insurance company. Let's go to another one.
Thanks for the great video. It was very helpful. I will be driving in Mexico for about 6 months and wondering if I need to keep my U.S. insurance active.
Okay, that's an excellent question. And here's what we have done when we come down here. Let's say if we're 6 months, something like that. What we do is we got a hold of our insurance company up north, and we tell them we're not going to drive the car, that we're actually parking the car in a garage. So we can then put the payment on a very, very low payment. They reduced the rate, so you're not paying for insurance up in the States. But then when we come down to Mexico, we get Mexican insurance here. So then we get full coverage Mexican insurance. So that's what we do. We've traveled through Mexico, thousands and thousands of miles, and we've never had an accident. So we're not afraid about driving in here, but also we're smart enough to know that we want proper insurance down here. Now, the insurance company, I don't know, that's sort of what I did, is didn't tell them really the truth. I told them that, we were parking the car, but in reality, we drove our own car down here and got the insurance. So, right or wrong, that's what I did. Probably you could tell your insurance company that, your agent at least, of what you're actually doing, and see what he has to say. And you could even recommend what I'm talking about is actually saying that, well, Jerry, he didn't tell his agent, but he parked it, and then he came down and drove his car anyways. Do you think that really has any problems around that there? So I didn't want to pay double insurance, so that's what I did. Another gentleman asked me down here is that he was wondering where we were surfing down here when I came down in 1972, and I talked about that in the last video. In 1972, me and a buddy were driving in a Volkswagen bus, which was a 59 Volkswagen bus, and we were surfing in a little town called Santa Cruz, and it was south of Mazatlan, and so we had great surf there. So we were down here for 6 months. That 6 months trip cost us $250 each, and I ended up buying a pair of prescription glasses that time also. Very economical. Can't do that today at that price. Another question here, completely off the wall. The gentleman asked, have we ever visited Southeast Asia? And so I sent him some links to some of our videos that we have made. I think we've made over 15 videos on Southeast Asia, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. And so explaining the lifestyle there and what it costs to live there. So if you're interested in visiting Southeast Asia, just go on to Jerry Brown Travels and type in, say, Cambodia, or Jerry Brown Travels, type in Thailand, and those videos will come up. And we'll show you how cheap it is to live there, if that's what you're looking for, because it is getting a little more expensive in Mexico. Okay, this seems like an interesting one. Let's see what this one has to say.
Jerry, thanks for this informative video. My husband and I are visiting Ajijic soon. We wanted to rent a car to take day trips. It sounds so possible to get in a car accident given the Spanish signage and drivers without driver's ed, so we need both our home auto insurance and to buy auto insurance from the car rental company. My husband was offered to rent a car for $1 a day. Is this right? How easy would it be to find a driver to go out for a hike, or to the mineral baths, etc., instead of renting a car? I am having the creeps about this.
Okay, don't have the creeps, because it isn't that bad. Okay, I did mention just before this about that. So, but the other part of your question, when you get down in this area, take a cab from the airport, come down here. You can use the bus and the taxis along here, because remember, it from Chapala to the way to the other side, San Juan Cosola, you're looking at about 25 miles. So it's not very long of a distance. And there's a bus system that runs the whole length of that. And also there's taxis here that you can take. Again, and I mentioned it in the comment before, you can use a travel company here that will take you around on day trips and take you outside of the area. So you can take care of all the little fun things you want to do around here by using a bus. Most of the time, most people just use a bus. And it's great because you walk a lot more and you lose a lot of kilos. So you get nice and skinny. Well, one of the other questions that somebody asked, they asked me, and I think it was jokingly, they said, how much do I need to tip or bribe a policeman so I don't go to jail? Well, I think you'd have to be very careful about that. It depends how severe it was. Now, let me give you a little tip of what I do. Now, I'm talking about if I maybe get in a traffic situation where a policeman pulls me over, they want to give me a ticket. And so I ask them if I can just pay them the fine or the ticket or the bribe, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it what it is. Okay, here's what I do. Here's my little technique. Now, you have to be, it's very subtle. So what I do is I'll get out some money, and I'll just have it in my hand, and usually it's in my lap. And I'm not sticking it in their face or anything like this. And I'm going, is it necessary that I need to go to the court? Is it necessary? And I'm not, and he sees the money here, okay? So he knows he's going to get a tip, but I haven't said anything that this money was going to go to him. I'm just holding it in my hand, and I'm just generally talking about something. It's sort of, maybe it even looks like this, Well, senor, do you think that I can, get away from this? Do you think there's something we can work out? Is there a way that we can, talk about this? So I'm holding it like this. And so he'll usually work out a deal. So then what I do is sort of cup it in like that, and I shake his hand, and I slip him the money. So that's just a little technique that I've tried. Over the years, it seems to have worked for me. Now listen, I don't recommend doing stuff like that. Don't be a naughty boy like me, but that's some little techniques that I do. Haven't gotten any trouble with it. But I wouldn't try it if I got into a severe accident. They're not going to buy that at all. They're going to say, off to jail. Oh. Okay. Now, this has been Jerry Brown and Jerry Brown Travels. And I wanted to blast this out to you and just let you know what's going on here in Mexico and answer your comments. Thanks. And remember, I'm just sharing the message with you, right or wrong. I don't know. Take caution, and you'll have a great trip down here, or you'll have a great lifestyle down here. But remember, I say that, I'll throw in my disclaimer, Mexico's not for everybody. Okay, Jerry Brown here with Jerry Brown Travels. Thank you. And look forward to our next video coming up, which we're going to talk about our cost of living and what it costs us to live here on a yearly, monthly basis. And we were shocked about what it's costing and how this area is getting much more expensive. So check out that video.